Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town, and today we are going to be talking about what I wish I knew before I started gold stacking. There's a fair amount of reasons to get involved with gold stacking. This is going to be a little bit less about why you might want to do it, though I'll touch on that briefly, but there are some things I did wrong and that I would not have wanted to do if I had known better. So we're going to be going over that. A lot of the gold in this video has been provided by my local coin shop, the Happy Coin. So thank you to them. All of the gold bars, certainly I'm going to be returning them immediately after this video. And then a good amount of these gold coins as well had kind of circulated through their shop. And I figured this is something important. I care about making sure that people don't get into a lot of the pitfalls that you can with gold stacking, and I generally say, especially with stuff as expensive as this, you want to keep it simple. So we're going to get into how to do that, and then again go over a few mistakes and considerations that you need to be thinking about. Now, the first thing that I don't see touched on too much in videos on YouTube is actually the use cases of gold. So, right here is a little bit over $6,000 at current prices of gold in my hand, quite a bit, excuse me. But the source for this is Statista Online. In terms of the uses, it is 46.64% investment, 36.83% jewelry, 8.58% central bank purchasing, and 7.95% technology. And I think that I've looked at this in the past, that technology piece really has been hovering in the 7 to 8%. Perhaps that could expand, and that would certainly be a good development for the gold price. But I think that that's something to think about. You see investing, jewelry, and central bank purchasing. That is a huge component of why gold has the value that it does. You compare that with something like silver, 50% is industrial and probably a little bit more than that. And that will probably continue. It's a very different situation. Most people have some exposure to gold and silver and don't realize that so much of the things causing the action for silver is related to the industry. Gold a little bit less. I view it as more upside. If that jumps to 50%, boy, we're going to see a big increase in the gold price. But what's also happening with gold is that people are thinking of other technologies that they can use and leverage that are not gold, whether that's different types of metals that can conduct in the same way. Just because as gold goes extremely high in price, people need to think about their supply, how they're creating their merchandise, how they're creating their industrial applications. And obviously you can't do that when gold, in a significant way, when gold has gotten so expensive over the years. So that's kind of the first thing to touch upon. So just know that most of this is investment. A lot of it surrounds inflation. It certainly has been quite a good hedge against the dollar right here. We have a $10 gold coin, 1847. It's clearly been circulated, has been spent as a $10 equivalent many times in its life, absolutely. But that's from 1847. I can tell you it's worth a little bit more than if you had held $10 in a bank for the same amount of time. So there is some good inflationary protection. That's kind of been a hot topic recently. I'm not going to get into my own opinions in this video on the situation with inflation, but certainly gold is a good thing to think about. And then I would then get into the physical versus online. So that's not really the main focus of this video either, but I think that's much better. There's the safety risk with physical gold, and I'm thankful that I don't own probably 95% of the gold or more in this video, but because I would be a little bit concerned about storage with my own personal, but you have it in your hand. If you have a good way of storing it and people don't know about it, then it's great to have it in your hand, because in a time, a lot of people like gold because if things go south, gold could be something good definitely to own, and having that in your hand versus in your online brokerage account. I'm not even talking about anything with conspiracies of it not really being there. I'm solely talking about, in the case that things go wrong, it's great to have it on your person, as well as remember a lot of these owning gold online, there's going to be some fees over time, especially, I do have some investments when I started out, and I still have some of them, but in not pure gold, but in kind of natural resources investments. Remember, this video is just solely entertainment, but I've had some of that, and the fees can actually be pretty high. The natural resources has not been a great investment recently. It's kind of got back some of its gains, but there can be some premiums where you don't even realize, but you're getting charged. Even if the gold price is going down, you're losing even more. If it's rocketing up, the people who own the fund are able to get some premiums, but and that way you get to also kind of have the gold in hand. They're often quite beautiful and even pretty low premium, as a lot of the coins that I'm going through, especially this world stuff, is. And that's another thing that I did incorrectly when I first started purchasing a little bit of gold. Since I've traded a lot of it, as I've kind of started to buy and sell, getting away slightly from stacking, especially on the gold side. When I purchased gold, I would get some pretty high premium items. Maybe that was a gold gold eagle when the prices are hot and there's not a ton of supply. You can pay quite a bit over spot. I try to, here's an example, and you may recognize it from one of my April Fool's videos, but the 1898 and 1899, these are 5 rubles from Russia. The gold dealer that I was working with in person, there's less of a market for this sort of thing. It's really tied to the gold price. I was able to pay basically spot plus $5 or maybe even lower than that, just spot for this 5 ruble coin. So that's something certainly to be cognizant of, is that a lot of the cheapest gold out there, and I think it's quite historic, but some of the very cheap gold is going to be, in my experience at least, European kind of early 1900s, late 1800s gold coinage that was used for their circulating money. It's often relatively worn. Some of this stuff is uncirculated, but as you can see, some of it certainly has been around the block a little bit. And there's rarely, this one's from Germany, 1873, 10 marks. Rarely going to be huge premiums. You can avoid a lot of, and you can avoid the collector premium, but I think that they're very cool to collect. So, as an idea for you, you could try to put together a set of, either all the same date, avoiding any of the key dates, or try to get like a gold typeset, 1 gold coin from each of the old countries, and do that through your local dealerships. And they can also have a lot of the other advantage, which I wish I knew when I started stacking, which is that going for smaller amounts of gold is what I always recommend to people. And because I'm coming at it from a perspective of not having a massive amount of money myself. So this is 1/10 of an ounce. It's a little bit of a high premium item. So maybe you'd want to avoid it. But when you can get these small increments of gold at not a huge premium over, like that one I bought from a coin dealer who gave me a good price on it. These are just got into the happy coin, and they're mostly already sold. I like this, but it's a huge amount of gold, so you have to pay a lot, and you can't, with one of these, say you purchase 20 of these 5 rubles, you can get rid of one of them, you can get rid of 7 of them, you can get rid of all of them. Here you've either got the 100 grams or many thousands of dollars of gold in your hand, or you've sold the entire thing. So say gold price rockets up, maybe you get rid of 8 of the 5 rubles and you've made back your investment. Now you own 12 of them for free, for example. That's a little bit different here. You are much more tied to the cash. So that's even a thing, you really want to think about that. Can you buy 4 quarter-ounce gold eagles instead of buying a full American gold eagle? You get a little bit more of that liquidity as long as you're not paying too much up on the premiums. I've seen some of the premiums online. They're crazy. So at that point, maybe you do want to go with the bigger gold coins or just wait. But I have always known that these European gold, it's some of the best way to go, I think, in my opinion. The drawback with that is that they're less recognizable. So maybe in a bad situation, maybe people wouldn't want to accept this, but I think that you can pretty much tell if something's real gold or not in the sorts of situations where it would be needed. And I would be much more comfortable owning a lot of smaller. And you can also do the same with U.S. gold. Certainly they're not, this is not a half ounce. It's probably going to be like 0.48 or something like that of a gold ounce. I should know the exact number, but much more liquid, especially if you have a ton of the $5 gold coins, which are half of this size. It's like 0.24 of an ounce or 0.245, I think, and you can trade them in much smaller increments versus doing one of these. And then I think lastly, yeah, it just gets down to bars, world coins, collectible coins. You can buy some coins that have collectible value, but I try to keep it as focused. When I'm buying gold, I think at least now I'm trying to go for some of this Russian ruble stuff, some of, something that's half of this size if the coin shop gets in. Maybe I'll go make a purchase. The gold is pretty high right now. You want to think about how you're buying into it with what sort of premium, and just be smart. And avoid paying too much so that you can have a fun collection. And I mean, it's nice to have this chunky bar, but here you're probably going to save up for a really long time. You either buy it or you don't. Say the price craters, you need to have $500 or something. You can sell off a few of these, keep the rest. Here you might have to take a loss on the big amount of gold that you purchased all at once. So all things to think about. Hope that this was helpful. And let me know if there are any other mistakes that you personally made that you could have avoided. Maybe one thing I didn't touch on is you want to buy from a reputable source, right? So they're a trusted local coin dealer. I've got an affiliate link for like SD Bullion among some other places in my description. So if you make a purchase through there, and it might, maybe I'll have other sponsorship deals in the future, but that would be of help. And I'd only, tell you to buy from a place that I view as very favorable, though, and reliable, though often your local bullion dealer, if they're trustworthy, will have better premiums than buying from one of the online, especially with how crazy the markets have been pretty much ever since COVID. So that pretty much concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said before, leave a comment and tell me your gold stacking strategy, how it's evolved over the years. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and definitely subscribe to the channel and connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I also have a website, treasuretownYT.com, where you should go so that you can learn more about coins as well as what's happening on the channel and possibly find a place to sell your coins and collectibles. I also want to talk about some of my other projects like coinmeltprice.com, which shows precious metals prices as well as the melt values of coins containing those precious metals, both US and world. I also have coinsmetalscards.com, which will develop into a full marketplace, as well as a news source for coins, metals, cards, as the name might suggest. And then treasuretowncoins.com, which long-term will be my coin dealing entity, separate from the channel. And lastly, whatsthegrade.com, which will be a stickering service for already certified collectibles, where you can get a approval or verification of the grade on the holder. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos.